You know, it's rare that you have as your guest on a show someone who's run for Congress, for mayor, and is the creator and star of a show called Crones for the holidays. But that's our next guest, the inimitable Terry Baum. Welcome.
Hi.
It's nice to have you. I've been wanting to have you on the show for a while, so thanks for being here.
Thank you so much for inviting me, David.
Now, do you think you're turning around the whole concept of the word crones? I mean, because that was a word that you wouldn't, say in polite.
Well, yeah, that's what we're trying to do. And let me say, I am the co-star.
Co-star.
There are two crones. I have a crony, Carolyn Myers.
R.
And we are equal contributors to the crime, as it were.
Got it.
So yeah, we're owning it. It's been a word that's been used against women, and it still is pretty low status to be an old woman. So we're saying, yes, we're old women, we're wise women, we're rowdy women, and we are embracing our cronehood.
Right. So you're an out of the closet crone.
Yeah, I am. I mean, what can I say? I'm half of a couple of Crackpot Crones.
Yeah. And when did this idea come to you? I mean, the whole idea of being a crone.
Well, actually, it's very interesting. Carolyn and I, our friendship and working together goes back 40 years. And we finally took a vacation together in 2008, ended up at a feminist guest house with a hostess who was an old lesbian activist. We said, we have to perform for her. This is in the mountains of northern New Mexico in the winter. In Ojo Caliente, New Mexico, Hot Eye, New Mexico. And we just put together a show because we wanted to honor our hostess, who was this incredible activist, Sonia Johnson. And we loved doing it so much, and people loved it so much that we said, this is what we want to do for the rest of our lives. And we just said, this is it. We love each other. We have been soul sisters for a very long time. I'm a lesbian, she's straight,
But you're both cronies.
We're crones, and we're cronies with each other, too.
Do you think that the LGBT community, I'll just say the gay community, is completely still wedded to its everything young is beautiful and everything older than 30 is not?
I think our whole society is, and our gay community is
no
part
different.
of that. I think so, yeah, yes, I think so. So it's a hard thing to, we were just at the New York International Fringe Festival performing, and one of the wonderful experiences there was being seen as honored elders by the younger performers, most of whom were not gay, but who just saw us trudging along, doing our thing in our 60s as people who had really, really, learned something and had something to offer them. And that was a wonderful feeling. I feel that we've lost that category, really, of wise elder in our society.
Well, and China does many things wrong, but it does one thing that I've always thought was really wonderful, and that it has an honor for the elders, even whether it's in business or culture or religion. I've been in meetings with Chinese counterparts, and the young, upstart American business person isn't looked to. They think, well, you need to go get coffee. If it has gray hair, they respect it.
Right.
Are we as a culture going to finally begin to respect our elders?
Well, I don't know. The Crackpot Crones we're doing our best to turn everything around.
Yeah.
And the thing is that we do sketch comedy and improvisation. So we're taking suggestions from the audience at some point.
Well, that's a tightrope.
And yeah, well, it's a fun tightrope, that's for sure. And we're making fun of many things in the holidays. We have one of our scenes is Booby and her Butch, where a newly out lesbian who's also a grandmother is taking her Butch girlfriend to a Hanukkah party and is very worried that her relatives are going to think her girlfriend's too butch and wants her to wear dangly earrings. So.
That's going to make all the difference in the
world?
Well,
yeah, she's desperate,
yeah.
And then we also have some serious sort of exploration of the different images of the Virgin Mary the Virgin Mary as a teenage girl who is making up a story after having gotten pregnant, and the Virgin Mary as a goddess who has lost her place in the patriarchy, and so it's an exciting show.
Now, do you consider yourself at this stage in your career more of an artist or an activist?
I'm an artist. I've always been an artist.
So when you ran for Congress and ran for mayor of San Francisco, did you think you were going to win? Did you want to win, or were you doing this as an artistic
No, I wasn't doing it as an artistic statement. I was doing it as a political statement. I felt that there were ideas and important positions that simply weren't being put out to the public, and that if I ran, I could put out these ideas. And I felt, especially when I ran for mayor, because there were so many forums, I felt very successful in getting those ideas out on the table, and I felt it had a big influence on the other candidates.
Well, talk to me about that. I mean, how do you feel you influenced the candidates in that election?
I feel like they adopted a lot of ideas that I happened to mention first. It's not that they were my ideas, but I brought them up first.
And are they Green Party ideas or Terry Baum
progressive ideas? Yeah, a lot of them.
That term has been bandied about a lot lately. What does progressive mean to you?
Wow. That's a really interesting concept, but now I'm working on this show, and I'm very excited about it.
But your
I'd like to tell you about that.
Your shows are, though, in their own sense, very political. I mean, tell me what's political about being a crone.
Well, being a woman out there declaring that you, as an old woman, are entitled to part of the public space, and that people should listen to you, is already a very feminist political statement. And we call ourselves pioneer funny feminists. And on a lot of our material it says, warning, feminist material. We have that on some of our postcards.
Right.
So we feel that there's a feminist vision of the world, which is a much more nurturing vision, in which people work together instead of compete with each other. We all know what these are, and they're really common sense things at this point.
Right.
But they also are really part of feminism, and that's getting lost. The whole idea, people hardly ever refer to themselves as feminists anymore. So that's a very important thing that we are doing politically as the Crackpot
Well, I
Crones.
mean, and that comes actually to my question kind of the other way, because, yeah, it's about the show, but it's about, you, Terry Baum, are an artist, and we've known your work and your writing. And my question about the definitions of progressive, feminism, artist, advocate, it all changes, because I agree with you. You don't hear someone saying so much anymore, I'm a feminist.
Right.
But suddenly over the last few years, whether it's in San Francisco or somewhere else, there's we're progressive. And I remember thinking, well, I'm a liberal. Does that mean I'm not a progressive?
Right. I totally agree. It gets watered down. You're absolutely right. It used to be that we were liberals, and somehow we've been forced into being progressives, which is so vague. Progress towards what? I couldn't agree with you more. Well, that's why I feel, at least I'm a green, and that has we have 10 key values, that, I mean, the environment has been one of our values from the very beginning, and so I feel that is a very strong vision, but I agree with you, progressive is kind of a wimpy word.
Yeah. Now, to go back to your show, Crone for the holidays. You see it as a political show, though? I mean, it's funny, obviously.
Yes.
But ultimately a political show. I mean, do you like, what is it, giving a spoonful of sugar to make the medicine go down?
Well, there's a lot of sugar, I have to say. I mean, we've got a lot. Booby and, well, like that scene that I was telling you about is a very funny scene. I mean, the butch offers to convert to Judaism rather than wear the earrings.
Yeah.
But it also, it's also real that the position of butches in the world has always been a very threatened one. So often the comedy and the political commentary are really part of the same scene. The improvisations are usually just plain old fun.
Right.
We have, we do one, it's called, we have the audience write down sentences, and so we have a place and characters, and we start this conflict, and then at a certain point we just choose a piece of paper, and you say,
go for it.
Well, the problem with you is,
right.
you can't make lasagna worth a damn, you know, and then you have to build that into the scene. So that's just very fun.
Is it harder writing for yourself or for another actor?
That's an interesting question. There's a voice of myself that I have developed. And perhaps I am more comfortable in that voice. That is the most developed character I have.
The reason, what made me think about it was looking through your materials before we sat down and hearing that you're compared to sometimes or have an affinity for Woody Allen.
Yeah.
And I often think sometimes, is that character, was Woody writing that for himself and he just maybe gave it to somebody else?
Yeah.
Because at least to me, the iconic performances I remember of Woody Allen are the ones he wrote for himself, which are most of them.
I think so, yeah, I agree. I mean, certainly One Fool, long ago, which perhaps you saw, was very much based on my, I was playing myself, or an exaggerated version of myself. On the other hand, Immediate Family, my show before that, I was playing a, you know, Midwestern, working class, butch lesbian who was very in the closet in her head and very, very fearful of coming out. So that was not me at all. Sometimes it's an incredible feeling of, now I'm working on developing a play about Hick. Lorena Hickok, who was Eleanor Roosevelt's lover, had a scene from Pat Bond's play about her in our last performance. And there's a feeling of channeling, of sort of delving and experimenting, and then I found her actual voice. Not really Hick's voice, but what I felt was Hick's voice.
So who are you going to get to play Eleanor? Or is it a one-woman show?
We don't know yet. Carolyn and I have thought about her being Eleanor and me being Hick. And we're not sure yet exactly how it's going to go, but we really do feel that this is an important lesbian forebear. I mean, Eleanor Roosevelt was one of the greatest human beings of the 20th century, and she got very important emotional and political and all kinds of support from Hick. And she really probably wouldn't have been who she was in the world. Eleanor wouldn't have been without Hick behind her, always loving her, supporting her, teaching her how to write. When ER first started writing, she gave everything to Hick, and Hick would instruct her on how to change it.
Well, we look forward to seeing that.
We as gay people need to know that.
I agree. Before we go, where we want to go to get information about your show, Crackpot Crones online.
Crackpotcrones.com.
Great, and we will look for your show, and thank you very much.
It opens December 15th.
And we'll be there.
Great.
Thanks so much. We've been speaking with Terry Baum. Next up, we have a conversation with Jason Leroy about the dangers of being a celebrity blogger in Hollywood. We'll be right back.